It's official, World War III has begun. This is not a drill. US is finally involved. Donald Trump just bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. Not one, not two, but three. These three major sites were fully wiped out. The message is loud and clear to Iran. US is backing Israel and they are ready for a full-blown war. In Iran, they're furious. Experts say retaliation is guaranteed. It's not about maybe, but it's about when. US citizens are all in serious danger. This should pull in Russia and China. And if it does, you know exactly what that means. We're not just talking about a regional war in the Middle East no more. This could be the thing that very well sparks World War III. No joke, we might have to say bye-bye to the world as we knew it. We're gonna have Donald Trump to thank for it. He tricked everyone and said this is what Kamala Harris was gonna do. But he knew all along he was gonna do the same exact thing. The world just is on edge. It's currently on fire. Stay aware, stay awake, and ask yourself, are you really ready for what's to come? Because it's finally real.
The hammer falls on Iran. Operation Midnight Hammer was the name of the operation conducted late last night where the U.S. struck Iranian nuclear facilities. It is Sunday, June 22nd, the morning after, and here is an Iranian-Israeli war update. The Pentagon finished their briefing not too long ago detailing out the operation that took place last night. They emphasized the use of the B-2 bombers, the GBU-57s, the major ordnance penetrators or the MOPS, the F-35s, and Tomahawks fired from the submarine, all in coordination as they conducted a multi-strike package against the Iranian nuclear facilities. They also emphasized that not only was there a resounding use of operational security, but military deception. As many people were talking about the movement of the B-2 bombers to Guam, that was a ruse. Iran had no idea that the B-2 was where it was, when it was. There was no reaction from Iranian military whatsoever. The actual flight path for the B-2 bombers was an 18-hour flight path with multiple refuelings. Battle damage assessments are still ongoing. However, that hasn't stopped Iran from coming out and saying that the U.S. was unsuccessful and conducted very little damage. However, then I don't know how they can explain the large amounts of fire seen from space from these nuclear facilities. Iran, of course, responded with condemnation. They are still extremely stubborn and unwilling to surrender. They launched 25 or approximately 25 ballistic missiles towards Israel, none towards U.S. forces at the moment. Iran's foreign minister did come out early this morning and said that they will indeed be closing the Strait of Hormuz. I do find that quite difficult given that the IDF has been striking the naval headquarters since yesterday. The likelihood that they have the ships capable of closing the strait is very small. But closing the strait is a sign that they have very little options left and they're in basically the last days or weeks of their regime. Given the fact that the strait is relied upon by some of their allies, namely China, so China would not look too kindly to having the strait closed, neither would the surrounding countries. On top of that, the United States has trained for many years to reopen this strait, so the likelihood of it being closed for any significant amount of time is extremely small. But again, let me reiterate, these are just words now. No actions have actually been taken in the strait, save the destruction of their own ships by the IDF, of course. U.S. bases in the region were immediately put on high alert following the strikes, but there has been no retaliation from Iran so far. Additionally, major U.S. cities were put on high alert, like Washington, D.C. and New York, but no reports so far. There's a realistic fear of a terrorist-like retaliation that could occur in the United States, but this is the world we've been living in for the last 25 years, so if you haven't gotten used to seeing something and saying something and being aware of your surroundings, I honestly don't know what to tell you. Side note to all my British followers and friends, your Prime Minister, for whatever reason, felt like stating that an attack on a U.S. base is an attack on a NATO ally and that Britain will be there to respond. Just tell him to be quiet. We appreciate it. It's not needed. My recommendation to all of you is to focus on your anti-free speech laws and your immigration process. You guys need a lot of internal house cleaning, and there is no need to get involved internationally right now. And while Israel celebrates Trump on their streets, the Democrats in the House Congress are currently calling for Trump's impeachment. This is not going to happen as Republicans control the House, and Trump will not authorize a strike without strong legal footing, so there's just no path for impeachment as it stands right now. Lastly, I will touch upon this in a separate TikTok, but I just want to mention that the Operation Midnight Hammer is a capability unique to the United States. China does not have that. Russia does not have that. And not only was this strike an operational signal to Iran, it was a strategic signal to our adversaries. And I'll just let you toil around with that in the comments. I'm that Intel Guy, and if you like updates and analysis without the fear-mongering and the spin, please consider giving me a follow. Remember to comment, like, share, and have a good morning.
So America just bombed Iran, like bombed the shit out of Iran, like dropped a 30,000 pound bomb at least once. Trump just posted on Truth Social, here's my thing. Calling for peace and also announcing that you've bombed Iran 3 times and committed an act of war is crazy, but no one was surprised. This morning, a small fleet of B-2 bombers were seen on flight radars leaving Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. These bombers are significant because they're the only planes capable of carrying the 30,000 pound bomb that we could use to penetrate the heavily fortified Fordo nuclear site in Iran, which is exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. And it is an act of war. So here are some quick and hard truths. Okay, first hard truth, technically American civilians are safe for now. Iran does not have the capabilities of reaching us. We've bombed the shit out of all of their military bases and killed most of their leaders. So yeah. Also, hard truth, a lot of Republicans are pissed off because Trump bypassed Congress, and Pete Kegsbreath also bypassed Congress and did this without any kind of congressional approval. And yes, dropping a 30,000 pound bomb is an act of war. Also, hard truth, this is probably going to be pretty bad for our economy. And things are already not looking too hot. We also don't really know the environmental implications of bombing the shit out of major nuclear sites. So there's that aspect as well. Also, hard truth, Iran might be a little bit kneecapped right now, military-wise, but they've got some scary friends. Russia, North Korea, and whoever else decides to potentially pop in here. I give Kegsbreath like a solid 2 weeks before he reinstates the draft. And personally, if you voted for these motherfuckers, you should be on the first fucking sign-up list. My gay ass will be sitting this one out. Best of luck to the rest of you. I will be holding down the fort here at home in whatever labor camp they decide to place us in.
The President of the United States does not have the unilateral authority to declare war. That is reserved for Congress. The President has 48 hours to tell Congress that he is going or planning on entering a war, and they have to vote and agree or deny. But like with most things in this country, Donald Trump acts unilaterally like a dictator. So now that we've officially entered this war, I want to pose a question as to why. Why did we enter ourselves into a completely avoidable situation? I'm going to show you a clip of this video.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed, and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Unwavering support for an ally who seems to be the sole aggressor in the region of the Middle East has done nothing for us but gotten us into another war. America is the only country in modern times that has actually utilized nuclear weapons on parts of the world and has seen the disastrous effects of what that looks like. America is also the only country that uses depleted uranium in other parts of the world with war. But we're quote unquote entering this war because Iran may or may not have nuclear capabilities. According to a report by Reuters, Iran already removed most of their enriched uranium out of those sites. So the attack was a moot point, basically. And we have those in our government who are these evangelical right-wing Christians who are basically extremists, and they're using their religion to say we have to go to war to protect God's chosen people. And in a clip and his speech yesterday, Trump even thanked God. Trump, who we know is not a Christian and who's basically an atheist, is thanking God for his divine, I guess, right to inflict pain and death on people who are minding their business in another country.
And in particular, God, I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you.
Only time will tell how this unfolds.
America has confirmed that they have bombed Iran. I knew this was going to happen. I knew they would get involved in this war. Israel was not going to be able to handle this on their own. And I also knew that Israel's Iron Dome was almost all the way depleted, and America was not going to sit back and allow that to continue. Now that the three major nuclear sites have been destroyed, and it's been confirmed by the United States that they have been destroyed, the next step is boots on the ground. I've been seeing all over my For You page on TikTok, American soldiers, which looks like they are headed into war. And I already heard weeks ago from sources that I knew that people were getting called out and deployed. So I already knew that it was headed this direction. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. The Iranian regime needs to go. This is a terrible regime that supports terrorism all around the globe. And the main reason why there's not peace in the Middle East is because of the Iranian regime. Once this regime is gone, there will be peace in the Middle East. I know that we have a lot of fears that countries like Russia and China will get involved in this war, but I do not think that is what's going to happen. Russia is too occupied with Ukraine, and they are already weakened from all the destruction that's been caused to them because of the Ukraine-Russia war. And China, as much as people think they're going to get involved, Chinese people are very, very diplomatic people, and they do not want to go to war. They are very, very strategic people, and it will take a lot for them to go to war. That's not something they want to do. So I think this is going to be good for America.
Let's talk about the War Power Resolution of 1973. This was a joint resolution by both parties to fulfill the intent of the framers of the Constitution. It was meant to ensure the collective judgment of both Congress and the President would apply to the introduction of United States Armed Forces into hostilities. Hello, I'm Christy Martin, and I'm a California criminal defense attorney. This resolution was enacted because President Nixon secretly fired on Cambodia during the Vietnam War. The resolution of 1973 intended to limit the presidential authority to wage war and reassert its authority over foreign wars. This created a stronger checks and balances to prevent the president from overreaching during times of war. Donald Trump has fired attacks against Iran, and this could potentially be an overreaching. As citizens, we have to wait for Congress to make a determination, and this will spark even more discussions of impeachment.
Welcome to World War III, people, because that's what this tweet is. We have just officially bombed and attacked Iran, 3 different nuclear sites, and now is the time for peace. Even though we just bombed somebody, this is how we're trying to achieve peace. And let me tell you, I mean, we could be cooked. No lie, we, who is we? Hey, I don't speak French. I ain't fluent. If you live right here, you could catch a missile any day at this point in time, because that's what this dude just did. You know, China has made it very clear. We are on Iran's side. We don't know why Israel preemptively strike anybody, and there's not enough proof that they're actually making nuclear weapons. We know Russia. I thought Putin and him was homies down like stocking caps waves. I guess not, because Russia been saying, no, don't do that. We on the brink of nuclear war, and we gonna be on Iran's side. So that means us versus Iran, Russia, and China. And our homies, our team is fucking Israel. Do you know what they be doing? Nothing. Because if you're wondering how our greatest ally helped us out during the war in Iraq when we took down Saddam Hussein and took out Osama bin Laden, all because of Bibi the bomber, yeah, they sent 0 people, 0 deaths. They wasn't even involved. They was like, nah, you should attack them to help us out. Nah, we not gonna help you out, but y'all should do that, for real. We your greatest ally. Trust me. We expect that Iran's just not gonna retaliate and not gonna start sending missiles to our U.S. military bases. Yeah, cool. The planes are safely out of there, but what about all of the U.S. military? Is nobody there? No, there's definitely people there. And if Iran starts bombing shit, then we gonna drop a real nuke on them? That's not going to go over well with the rest of the world. Like, probably 90% of the country was like, no, what do you mean? Don't bomb Iran. Even people in his own cabinet on the right side was like, no, you're tweaking with that one. Thomas Massey, even Charlie Kirk, his dick-sucking ass was like, no, wait, whoa. No, we don't need to bomb. That's Israel's war. Now look at us. When the Times of Israel and Jerusalem Post says, oh yeah, Trump's going to join us in the war, you believe them. And now this is what they say. Successful. Who knows what successful actually means? But in my mind, Now we have just pissed off another country and the rest of the world because everybody was saying, do not bomb Iran. And we went and did it. And it's just like, what the fuck's going on? I thought Congress had to approve before we go to war. Or are you just going to say, this is just a military operation. We're not actually going to war. They were going to get a nuke, so we had to stop them. And it's like, I don't think that's going to blow over well, to be honest with you. I dare you to say that word draft. This is going to be my new home. I'm going to be chilling there in the Cutlass Broadside in my cell, eating 3 meals a day, having visitors come say what up. Because you know you can't visit? War. You know where you're not going to catch me? Fucking war. I'm not killing another motherfucker for nobody. Are you crazy? And the people that are in the military right now, I am so sorry for y'all. We have a fucking power-hungry egomaniac that's pleasing BB the bomber really just because they got mad shit on him with the Epstein files. And I don't care. You can call it conspiracy theory. At this point, after this stupid-ass fucking stunt, hell yeah, that's gotta be it. That's the only logical fucking answer there is.
More breaking news, and I don't see this in the mainstream media, but Iran may have just changed the game with a missile that flies 15 times faster than sound. It's called the Fatah-1, and Tehran claims it just entered Israel's airspace and made it past their defense systems. That's right, a hypersonic missile moving at Mach 15. For context, that's over 11,000 miles per hour, nearly impossible to intercept with traditional systems. According to Iranian state media, the missile detonated inside Israel, causing limited damage, no confirmed casualties. And of course, in response, Israel launched retaliatory airstrikes on Iranian drone, missile, and military facilities. Now here is the part to watch closely. Some Western analysts believe Iran may be exaggerating. They say the Fatah-1 might just be a very fast ballistic missile, not a true hypersonic glide weapon. But even if it's half true, it signals something big. The Middle East just entered the hypersonic arms race. These missiles are designed to evade radar, fly low, and maneuver mid-flight, making them nearly impossible to stop. And unlike drones or rockets, hypersonic weapons can strike targets in minutes with devastating precision. U.S. and Israeli officials are now re-evaluating what it takes to defend against threats like this. And global powers are watching closely. Because if Iran really had this tech, others will follow fast. Bottom line, Iran may have just introduced a new level of danger into the region, and we may be witnessing the start of a hypersonic showdown. The rules of warfare are changing. The stakes are higher than ever. Let me know what you think, and this is for entertainment purposes only.
There's some major breaking news to share this evening. Donald Trump has confirmed that the United States, in the first time ever, has struck Iran. 3 different locations. We have struck Iran, struck some of their nuclear facilities, and in what Trump is saying was a completely successful attack, we have basically destroyed Fordo, one of their main nuclear sites. So in this post on Truth Social, Donald Trump is saying, we've completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, it's honestly ridiculous to even think that this is okay. So Donald Trump has ordered the strikes on Iran without congressional approval. He didn't go to Congress and receive approval for this. And for lack of better words, for those who may not understand, this means that we are at war with Iran. We have joined Israel. Not that we were never not with Israel, if everybody knows what's really true there. But it truly means that we have joined forces with Israel in this attack against Iran, and it is not okay. We have not sought congressional approval for this. There are already Congress people saying that this was not okay. I'm really curious to see what happens on that front, whether Donald will be impeached for this, as he should. But it's also super, super unnerving just to know this is the first time U.S. forces have actually struck Iran. The first time ever. And it's very unnerving. It's very concerning. Because this is major. This is really, really major. Yeah. Donald is supposed to address the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So I'm going to try and stay up and see what he's got to say for himself. And how he's going to try and spin this, and I'm sure I'll post some reactions to that. But major news. Be sure to spread the word. Make sure folks know about this.
If you're like, why did the US bomb Iran today? Let me break it down for you. Here's what went down, and here's why people are split about it. Let's break down what actually happened. The US bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. These were underground facilities where Iran has been working on parts for its nuclear program. Yeah, scary stuff. And how did they do it? By using stealth bombers. Okay, you might be asking, what are stealth bombers? They're basically airplanes made to not be seen or detected. And according to President Trump, it was a success and no troops were lost. Now let's get into why we would do this. Basically, because we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. And also, it was a way to show our support to Israel. People are very much split on the action President Trump took. Some people are like, yeah, whatever we have to do to make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Other people are like, yeah, but bombing Iran basically puts us at war. Girlies, whether you're in Camp A or Camp B, it's important that we stay informed on current events. Definitely give me a follow because I want to keep the girlies informed in a way that's a little bit more simple to understand. I'll also be going into deep dives and give you guys more information on what's going on currently in the US and our current political climate. Because I do not want the girls to be left out of the conversation.
I had to pull over to make this video, but as you guys know or may not know, and I have been keeping you updated, Donald Trump did go ahead and strike Iran. So we are officially in war with Iran. What this essentially means is generally what will happen is they're going to retaliate, right? So they'll probably hit our bases that's in their region. After that, China and Russia may get involved, and they may try to attack our U.S. infrastructure. Like, this means so much. And they're not just going to let us attack them and then not retaliate, right? So if I were you, as I have been saying, I would stock up on my dry goods, my water. I would buy water purification tablets so that I can know how to, I'll know how to purify my water. Just prepare, buy ammo, firearms, and things like that.
If you're South African and you think what's happening in Iran has got nothing to do with us, you're already falling for the trap. The US just bombed Iran's nuclear facilities yesterday. Israel is already deep in the fight. Iran is threatening retaliation. Russia is watching. China is calculating. And you're telling me it's none of our business. Let me break it down for you. South Africa is part of BRICS. We've got economic and political ties with Russia, China, and Iran. If things spiral out of control, who will feel it? Fuel prices, food prices, supply chains, currency, jobs. And don't forget, if BRICS becomes more than just trade, if it starts looking like a military alliance, South Africa might have to choose a side. So no, we can't scroll past this like it's TikTok drama. We have to speak up because global silence during injustice, that's how we end up with apartheid. And that's how the world keeps burning. And if you think global war won't affect you, it just hasn't hit your side of the map yet.
Donald Trump just bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran, guys. I don't know how bad this is gonna get. If you've been following Israel, Iran, USA News, you know how bad this is. And if you haven't, let me try and make you understand in the simplest baby terms, okay? Israel is like a baby brother to the United States. Israel and Iran are having a fight, and then United States comes in as the big brother to fight on behalf of Israel. So it has bombed 3 major nuclear sites in Iran. And remember, Iran is just not going to let it slide. It's going to retaliate because it had mentioned that if it happens that the USA attacks them, they are definitely attacking the military base in the Middle East. So guys, I am very sure a lot of people have family and friends in the Middle East, so that's going to cause a lot of instability. Like, it's going to be a conflict zone, so it's going to affect all of us because the United States has 750 military bases across the world. Also, if there is issues at the top, those are big ballers, like big baller countries. If there's issues at the top, it's definitely coming down to the bottom. Like, I did not think I was going to be alive to watch and witness World War III, which I think might actually escalate, but let's hope and pray, fingers crossed, that it doesn't get that bad. But I think things are literally getting really bad, guys. It's crazy.
I'm a Harvard law student. Saturday morning, the Trump administration successfully bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. If you don't know where you fall on this issue, here is a partisan guide to what the conservatives and the liberals think and why. Obviously, the real answers are more nuanced, but I'm going to try to sum up both parties in one sentence and then explain. The conservative view here is that the strikes were necessary to protect America and its allies against a nuclearly armed Iran. Many conservatives prioritize national security and deterrence and believe that diplomatic relations have failed, and this is the only way to preempt Iran from having nuclear arms. Honestly, this really isn't anything new, and both parties have agreed in the past that Iran really shouldn't have nuclear capabilities. Conservatives' main argument for why this is okay is that the president is the commander-in-chief and has these powers under the Constitution, and past history has shown it's been okay, like Clinton's bombing in Kosovo and Obama's bombing in Syria. More progressives or liberals tend to believe that these attacks were either illegal under international treaty, unconstitutional, or counterproductive, possibly leading to war without solving the whole nuclear crisis. I'll tell you, as a Harvard law student, the constitutional question this raises is very complex. I could write an entire paper on it. But the short and sweet answer for liberals is that the war power is under Congress. The president alone is not able to declare a war, and this is mighty close to that. And even under the argument that this isn't war declaration, the president is taking actions very similar that he would if we were at war. In the War Powers Resolution Act that was passed in 1971, the president is only allowed to use force prior to congressional authorization if there is an attack to the U.S. or immediate harm to the U.S. Here is really tough to make the case that there was imminent harm. Another liberal concern is that this is only a temporary setback of the nuclear program and could even provoke responses from Iran. I'm going to try to keep you guys up to date on the situation. Let me know in the comments if you want me to dive more into either the conservatives or liberal viewpoints. And let me know which one of these arguments you find more convincing.
Are we going into World War III? No, and I'll tell you why. If you've been paying attention, you know that there have been missiles exchanged between Iran and Israel on June 14th, 15th, and 16th, with Israel targeting Iran's supposed nuclear facilities. Well, why is this important? Because in 1970, there was a pact made by 190 nations. In that pact, it was agreed that no one could have nuclear weapons except for 5 countries: the US, the UK, Russia, China, and France. You notice I didn't say Israel. That's because Israel was not part of that 190 nation pact. And it is believed that Israel does have somewhere around 100 nukes. Well, why is World War III not going to happen? Because of Russia and China. They have only offered words of support to Iran, nothing else. As of right now, Russia and China is not offering any military support to Iran, even though Russia has verbally condemned Israel's actions. I think the real key here is going to be Pakistan. Pakistan has already said verbally that if Israel uses their nukes against Iran, that Pakistan would help Iran. And if Pakistan joins the war, most likely India would join the war in favor of the Israelis. And so far, there have been no indications that those two nations have any intent on joining this skirmish. And as far as the United States is concerned, yes, President Trump did say that we bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. However, the idea of bombing Iran's nuclear facilities is to prevent World War III by disarming Iran. And I don't believe that Russia and China are going to get involved. Russia, as you know, has much bigger issues of their own to deal with. So, no, I don't think World War III is going to happen.
So if you're seeing that Iran has just been bombed by Donald Trump without congressional approval, and you're wondering why it doesn't seem like there's very much aftermath, I'm going to explain really briefly. This is majority just for one site, but Fordo, one of the sites that was hit by these bombs, that are some of the most high-tech bombs created by the United States. They weigh about 30,000 pounds each. They have to be carried in specialty planes, and they had to refuel on the way to Iran because they're so heavy that the planes can't hold the fuel and the bomb at the same time. And they're dropped from very high up, and then they're meant to penetrate deep in the ground and go off once they're underground. And they were aiming for Fordo, which is a site that enriches uranium. A lot of the sites that they hit were just for like refining materials. So one of them was Fordo. The other one was basically like an oil refinery. And Fordo is 300 feet underground. It was built with the intention of surviving nuclear war. It is basically underneath rock. So these incredibly heavy bombs that the United States drops, I think they dropped 2 of these 30,000-pound bombs on Fordo, did penetrate the ground, but they virtually had no impact. Because unless those bombs were dropped with extreme precision right on top of each other, they wouldn't be able to penetrate Fordo. And I'm not sure how true this is, but the Iranian government says that there is no nuclear leakage. They said that everything that had been refined had already been previously removed from the site. But the Iranian government doesn't have free press, so that could be true, it couldn't be true, not sure. I'm watching the Kurdish news outlets right now for my information, but everything is kind of being updated as we speak. And there's not very many of these bombs in the world that the United States makes. I think there maybe at most would be like 30, but don't quote me on that. And the thing about these bombs is they utilize kinetic energy. So they're not like other bombs. They utilize the impact of coming down so hard with so much weight to go off in the ground. As to why the United States would drop such heavy-duty, incredibly expensive, high-tech bombs on these sites, they say that they're trying to basically punish Iran for not complying with negotiations, but the reality is that Israel attacked Iran. Any chance of negotiation went out the window then, because it was with the United States funding and United States provided weapons. And even if Iran were to come to an agreement after all of this, which I highly doubt they would, they are going to be all the more secretive. They have the materials that they need to create whatever retaliation that they want to create. And I truly do believe that this was just a move by the United States government, by Israel, and all of these Western imperial powers collectively working together because they want to serve the interests of a select few billionaires who make money off of these wars. They are cutting all of the social safety nets in the United States, all these social safety programs that especially help folks in rural areas. And then they're starting these world wars to push working class people towards enlisting in the military, to keep a large group of people who have no other option but to be in the United States military in these endless world wars to basically fund the interests of these billionaires who keep them there, who make money off of all these wars. It was incredibly true when we said nowhere is free until Palestine is free, and it is only becoming more true by the day. I think that if people hadn't woken up before, this is the time to wake up now, because this is truly billionaires and imperialists acting solely in their own interests, and everybody else is caught in the crossfire, basically. This is the time to boycott. This is the time to organize. This is the time to be non-compliant. This is not the time to be working only in your self-interest. Your community is what matters. Your community is what will keep you safe. You are safer in numbers. And more than anything, this is the time for labor strikes. If you do not want to see a country go to war, any labor strike, especially unions that are in charge of any sort of like industrial creation, ironworks, oil rigs, it's time for walkouts. And no more purchasing from places like Starbucks and McDonald's and Amazon, even DoorDash and Uber Eats, who directly funded AIPAC and Donald Trump's campaign. It's really time to become self-sufficient.